You may start your presentation once you're ready, and don't forget to unmute your mic whenever it is your turn to speak. All right, you may start now.
Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. Hi and assalamualaikum everyone. So today we will be presenting about greenhouse gas emission. So my name is IZZATY NAJMI and this is my partner Nabilah Huda. Together we will explain the main sources of greenhouse gas emission in the European Union and Australia. So we move to introduction. Greenhouse gas emission are one of the main causes of climate change and global warming. Different sectors such as energy, agriculture and transport contribute differently to total emissions. In this presentation, we will focus on comparing the European Union and Australia to see which sectors produce the most greenhouse gases. Next, the purpose of our presentation. Firstly, to illustrate how different sectors contribute to total global greenhouse gas emission. And secondly, to identify the main sources of these gases in the European Union and Australia. So we will move to our first chart. So this slide presents the greenhouse gas emission in the European by sector for the year 2022. The data is taken from the European Environment Agency and this data is measured in carbon dioxide equivalent. The sectors are grouped according to the color legend shown at the side of the chart. The dark green bars represent the major sources of emission. The green bars represent significant sources and the light green bars indicate minor sources. The orange bar is the net sink, meaning this sector absorbs more carbon than it releases. So this chart gives us a clear overview of how each sector contribute to the Europe's overall emission footprint. So next we will move to the analysis of data. Okay, so the first group, we look at the major sources marked in dark green. These are the sectors that contribute the largest share of emission. As we can see, energy supply is at the top with 27.4%. So together with all these three sectors, make up more than 70% of total emission. So these sectors rely heavily on fossil fuels, whether for producing electricity, powering vehicles or running industrial processes, which is why they dominate the emissions profile. They are the key focus for decarbonization efforts in the Europe. So next, we move to the significant sources that shown in green. These sectors still contribute a noticeable amount to emission but are not as dominant as the major sectors. As we can see, residential and commercial building account is the highest for in this group, which is for 11.9% of emissions. This mainly comes from heating, cooling and general energy use. And agriculture follows closely with 10.8%, mostly from methane emission from livestock and nitrous oxide from fertilizer. Although these sectors are smaller than the major one, they still play an important role and require targeted policies and technological improvement. Next, the light green bars represent the minor sources. These include international shipping at 3.9%, international aviation at 3.2%, waste at 3.2% and other combustion at 2.5%. So as we can see, each of these sectors contribute less than 4% individually. Even though their emissions are relatively small, they are still important because many of these sectors are difficult to decarbonize. And finally, the orange bar shows the net sink. So instead of adding to emission, this sector remove carbon from the atmospheres, giving a value -7%. So this happened mainly through forests, soils, and natural vegetation that absorb carbon dioxide. However, still, this absorption is not enough to balance the high emissions coming from major sector. So, it plays an important supporting role in the Europe's climate strategy. So now I will pass to my partner.
Okay, thank you, Izzati. So next, I will present about our second chart. So next, the description of data. So this data title is Global Greenhouse Gas Emission by Economic Sector. And this data is presented in this pie chart is taken from the United States Environmental Protection Agency, which is EPA in 2023, which provide the global distribution of greenhouse gas emission by economic sector. So next, we'll move to the analysis of data. So this data indicate that the major driver of global greenhouse gas emissions is the energy sector, particularly electricity and heat productions. So the dominance of this sector is 25%, suggests that global energy consumption is still heavy dependent on fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas. So this reliance implies that effort to reduce emission must prioritize the transition toward renewable energy sources. Next. So this is the smaller percentage in global greenhouse gas emissions. Even they are comparatively smaller contribution from building, which is 6%, and other energy sources, which is 10%. But actually, it show everyday activities such as cooling, heating, and fuel extraction that also contribute to the overall emissions profile. So this suggests that individual behavior, building design, and energy infrastructure all play a role in shaping environmental outcome. Next is agriculture, forestry, and land use contribute almost an equal share 24%, indicating that environmental impact is not limited to industrial activities. So the high percentage highlight issues such as livestock, methane production, fertilizer usage, and deforestation. So this suggests that sustainable agriculture practice and improved land management strategy are essential in addressing climate change. Next is industry, which is contributing to 21% reflect the increasing global demand for manufacturing and the energy intensive nature of industrial operations. Next, uh, okay. So although transportation contributes a smaller proportion, which is 40%, the figure is still significant because indicating that vehicle emissions remain a major environmental challenge. So this underscore the need for improvement in public transport system. Next. So overall, this data demonstrate that climate change is driven by multiple interconnected sectors. Therefore, emission reduction strategy must adopt a multi-sector approach, focusing on energy transformation, agriculture reform, industrial efficiency, and transportation improvement. So, in conclusions, both charts show that energy production and industrial activities are the main driver of greenhouse gas emission worldwide. Agriculture and land use also play a significant role, especially in developing countries. So this reflects the impact of sustainable policies, renewable energy adoption, and effective environmental management. Therefore, reducing emission from the energy and sector is essential for tackling climate change and achieving global sustainability. So that's all from us. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I would say it's a nice teamwork and it's very clear division of roles. But it's just that I think your data analysis was a bit long, isn't it? You have a few slides for it.
Yes.
Okay.